Dr. Jose Robledo and personal trainer Joe. Welcome, Joe.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
We want to introduce Joe, who is the creator of PT by Joe, personal training by Joe, essentially, who we mentioned before the break, takes people from nothing to competitive fitness competitions or bodybuilding, whichever category they want to enter into, both male and female athletes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so what we're going to be talking about today is how to do that in a way that creates fitness for you now, gets your body to the ultimate level right now, but also helps you not age later. So there can be certain sacrifices that very often hit the news where people are maybe using drugs they shouldn't be using, certain type of supplements that maybe are taxing their body that later on, if they actually age faster. And sometimes you can actually see it in their face. They're aging at the very moment they're competing. The body looks great, their face looks terrible, but they're being judged on their body. So go ahead.
Right, and also I have heard, from personal trainers, that even though exercising is a big part of it, diet is an even more important part of it. Can you touch on that part too when you get a chance?
The best thing that I've noticed with a lot of the clients that we see is when it comes to diet is really trying to understand the body, their body specifically, on how they react to food. Everybody's a little bit different. You know, there's a base that we start off with, but the food is what really dictates the actual look for the most part with the body fat loss and the shaping of the muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you just have to really pay attention as we go through it and really, really just look at what they look like on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, depending on when the show is.
So you're saying that with different athletes, you actually recommend different kind of diet regimen for them?
Correct. Everybody's different. There's a base that we usually start with, and we make adjustments accordingly.
Wow, that's amazing. I would think, the pyramid, the nutritional structure, you would recommend to athletes are pretty much similar, but you actually individualize it.
Correct.
Okay, can you give me some examples?
For instance, if you have a vegan competitor, they're not going to eat meat, so their diet's going to be completely different. Their sources of protein will range from eggs anywhere to fish, depending on their body type. And how much protein they take in versus how many carbs and fats are really important also.
I see.
What is your opinion of pea protein, hemp protein versus your whey protein? And I would also like to get Drs. Lee and Robledo's comments on whey versus just natural forms of protein. But Joe, we'll start with you.
In my opinion, protein is protein. I like to use a very pure source instead of a powder. Food is always number one, straight and simple. Chicken, fish, steak, that's where it begins. Powders are just a supplement, and that's exactly it, a supplement to what you eat.
Sure. Great. I think not far off.
I think that's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And that is one of the ways you can damage your body over time, is if you just put in unnatural supplements over time, it's not as good for you as natural food. Okay, great. If you were to give advice for how to remain fit right now, get your body to maximum competitive level right now, but what are some some things you would say to be cautious of if you're in a bodybuilding competition or for fitness that might come back to bite you later if you try to take shortcuts now?
Crash dieting, cutting your calories extremely low in a short amount of time. They have what they call metabolic damage, to where you can slow your thyroid down or just your BMI changes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really important. Because in the long run, it takes longer to fix. You may get the results you want fast, but long term, you have a chance of damaging it.
Gotcha. I think we kind of covered that in the previous segments as well. There's a lot of agreement here. Excellent. In terms of exercise, there's a lot of theory out there, and obviously an answer that's already given is it's a little bit customized to everybody and how they respond to food as well as to exercise. But there are some common factors in exercise about how to be able to get fit in the best way possible.
Depending on what level you're at, if you're a basic beginner and you've never picked up a weight or done any type of exercise or movement, is to just get up and do something. It starts with just doing something. From walking, slow walking, to walking on a treadmill, to walking your dog. It's all about doing something, and that's what starts the process. At that point, you can judge really, okay, do I need to do more? Am I seeing results? Am I moving forward? And then you can decide, if weight training is going to be a thing for you. If, doing heavy exercise like running, sprinting, high intensity, it's all about just getting there and moving. That's the thing that we push the most with people. Get up and do something. You don't need to be sitting on the couch watching TV.
And also to work your way up, personal advice I would give, I think I may have used this example before, but I used to be about 85 pounds heavier than I am right now, and I thought, you know what, I can go back to the gym first day and be right back to where I was when I used to be working out. So I told my wife, you know what, just watch, you don't even need to spot me, you can just stand there, and I'm going to bench what I used to bench. And I spent the next 2.5 years recovering with my rotator cuff.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So, even if it's just your wife you're showing off for, you're trying to, you would think you wouldn't, you'd be a little bit more humble around your wife. But yeah, I was trying to show off for my wife, and, I paid the price. So the point is in fact, later on, my wife and I would both giggle as I became a little bit more accustomed to the gym, that we could see the Kurts that would walk in. They would be the ones that were overweight but running way too fast. That they were, doing too much. They were sweating all the way down to their knees, and obviously not fit. And we would say to ourselves, we won't see them back in the gym.
And
it was a one-day event.
This is where the personal trainers are very valuable for. They'll guide you through. They'll give you good advices and on how to go on with the program.
That's correct.
You bet. And I think if I could just give a little bit of a plug to Joe. Joe has had several people that are competing and just went down to Tucson. I think, what percentage of people did you have that actually placed at the event?
About 95.
Pretty good. So PT by Joe, a good place to go. Joe, if you want to give your information for people to find you on the website and to learn more about your personal training.
Our website address is www.com, PT by Joe. If you need to reach us, you can check out our Facebook at www.com, Facebook/PT by Joe. Or you can reach us at 480-593-3636, and we'll get right back to you.
Obviously, 95% chance of winning the competition, great, and also a person of reason who knows not to push you too hard to the point where you're going to hurt yourself, whether it's the way you eat or the way you exercise, is great.
Nice facility too.
Thank you so much.
How long do we have before the segment's over here?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay, very good. So, Dr. Lee, did you have any particular questions before I launch a couple others?
Well, we were talking about exercise, and you were talking about the dangerous things you shouldn't be doing, that you gave your own example.
Mm-hmm.
What about supplements, or you can call it substances that you shouldn't be taking? Is there anything we need to watch out for?
The main thing is, supplements is just that it's a supplement to what you don't have. It's very controversial to what you should take, what you shouldn't take, and you won't know until you've seen a doctor, have some blood work, and actually physically know I'm deficient in vitamin D or vitamin C for the most part, and that's what you need a doctor for. As a trainer, it's based on food. You got to eat, and that's where it all begins. And after
Sounds good.
yeah.
Absolutely. And in a way, that's actually why I'm so grateful to be able to have Dr. Lee, Dr. Robledo, and PT by Joe on the show, is that you do want to be under the care of a physician so that you have some great advice from your trainer, but then you can run it by the physician. And if I could recommend a couple of physicians, here they are sitting on the air with you. Arizona Laser and Skin takes that approach from all different levels: the way you eat, the way you exercise, and also from a med spa and cosmetic surgery. You have everything at your fingertips from very, very well-balanced people who will give you the right advice at the right time. I can't think of a better place to go than azmdlaser.com to be able to determine that. And then you get the best of all 4 sides of the world, including the exercise. And there will be times, and don't be offended if you come in with a body mass index of pretty high, and Dr. Lee and Dr. Robledo may recommend you to Joe to get some personal training before you come back and do anything a little bit more aggressive.
We have actually made those kind of recommendations for people who are seeking surgeries like liposuction. And liposuction is going to help you to contour your body, but it's really not a weight reduction as purpose. So we recommend people to lose weight and exercise and diet first before they can actually get their curves and, you know, look more beautiful.
Absolutely. And if you're actually starting to get into the business, whether you're going to be in competitions or you may have a business of your own, one of the things that PT by Joe is doing that is a great way to get the word out there is doing a reality show. And I know that is a little bit under wraps right now, but the more to come is all I'm going to say, unless you wanted to share a little bit more about that.
Well, it's called Angles TV, Health and Fitness, and basically it's about lifestyle of a healthy and fitness, you know, world. Basically from average competitors to average people and everything in between. We just go through a process of showing you that anybody can do it. You know, and it's geared toward the whole general public.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, on the road to get there. You know, some people win, some
Yes.
people have to win later. So it looks like we're coming in at the end of the break. Thanks for tuning in to Ageless Living here on Voice America World Talk Radio. This is Kurt Wilhelm, your co-host, and
This is your host, Tong Lee.
and thank you, Dr. Robledo, and
Thank
Joe
you.
from PT by Joe coming in to join us. We never said your last name is Joe Valdez.
It's
correct?
Valdez.
All right, very good. Thank you for coming on the show. When we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off as far as the way you eat and the antioxidants and some of the other things that we'll be talking about. So don't go away. We'll be right back after the break.